Imperfect Gentleman Show.
Today, we are talking about the H&M fiasco,
Yes.
Golden Globes, Oprah
Yes.
running for president,
Yes.
possibly Iran protests, and how to make it and have good New Year's resolutions in 2018. All
love
right
the
here
pause.
on Imperfect Gentleman.
And who are you, Tarad?
What's the date, bro?
Aren't you? The date
What
is
date?
It's Tuesday, January. I'm gonna guess that's the 9th.
Ninth.
It's the 9th, 2017.
Yo, Imperfect Gentlemen, we're freaking imperfect. Catch on, niggas. All right? I'm the impeccable, impenetrable Teron Von Gossry alongside
GK Supreme. In case you don't know what GK stands for in 2018, that's Good Karma Supreme.
That's what it stands
Rest
for?
in peace, Harambe. Rest in peace, Cecil the Lion. Our thoughts are with you. We are one in this community.
Your thoughts are with them. My thoughts are so far away and so far removed, and we are
Imperfect Gentlemen.
Of course, we have a wonderful guest in the building today.
Hi, I'm Farnaz Michelle.
I felt like you could have had more energy with that. I felt like it could have been a little more like,
if I were you, I would have said,
Hey, I'm Farnaz Michelle.
why don't you say Farnaz Michelle?
ooh,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Like,
Farnaz Michelle.
You like,
Farnaz
like the Persian
Michelle.
accent, like I'm Farnaz Michelle.
No, Michelle is actually he's
French,
going for
like
French.
French,
He was
right?
going
Oh,
for French.
you're
Why
going
did
for
you make it
French.
so like Bobby?
Why did you make it so like,
You made it sound like you were doing the Persian
You know
accent,
what?
Michelle.
Can I make it even funnier?
She made it so iceless.
It sounds racist that she was like, oh, a Persian accent, but she's actually half Persian, half white.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she's
I
allowed
am.
to.
I'm
We
half
went over that
Persian,
in
half
the pre-show.
American.
But what was interesting to me, she said, I'm half Persian, half American, which made me think, when people say they're from mixed heritages and they say American, we automatically assume in our heads white. But you know what? White America is slowly changing because, there's a lot of things happening right now.
But it's really not. Listen, at any given time, white America is the majority in America. So when people are like, oh, but there's all these minorities. Yeah, but there's 40 million black people, 50 million Hispanics, and then 330 million people in this country, and like maybe 25 million other, and the rest are just white.
Aren't the Hispanics supposed to take over soon?
That's like a statistic. I mean, that's like saying that 1 out of every 4 people die from cigarette smoke. Sure, but have you ever walked around the streets and just seen people keeling over? Like, that's not exactly how it works. It's not like you're just saying, uh-oh, there goes Uncle Robbie.
I don't
you
know,
just
though.
step over his dead body.
I got my money on the Latinos. I think the Latinos are going to come
That's because
through.
they get pregnant so easy.
And I actually think that, come on, man.
what do you mean? I got a Mexican girl pregnant one time and I didn't even sleep with her. I handed her the cash at the
Come
Rite Aid,
on, man.
and I touched her hand.
Don't be talking about the Mexicanos like
Oh
that,
yeah,
bro.
that's your people, bro.
Yeah,
you look Mexican.
But I do think
you look Mexican. You look
I
Mexican.
do.
so
Our
you
last
feel
guest
it.
said I look Mexican.
Yeah.
Guess I want you to like contribute. Do I look Mexican? But what would be
I
hilarious?
thought you were Persian.
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm Persian.
Yeah,
You
they
look
actually
Persian?
they called him Persian Drake, and he's not Persian Drake. In fact, he's.
Oh,
that's
damn,
what it
I
was funny.
see that in you, Persian Drake.
Yeah, but he's
I
She
actually
had
see
an
that.
epiphany.
he's Lebanese George. Which is even better.
I'm Lebanese George, but above all, I am GK Supreme. We are one not only as people, but we are one with the animals. And what happens
Okay,
is...
we're done. So listen, Farnaz Michelle, tell us a little about you.
Okay.
I'm not gonna listen to one with the animals. Okay, I'm not. Like, you make me want to buy fur. I just want to let you know that, George. Like, I want to go and have Chaco the Cheagle fur coats.
That's funny, man. Actually,
I would never. Look,
Did
know
you
why?
just
I
give
have to say I
Chaco
would
the
never 'cause
Cheagle a
white people
shout
are
out?
gonna Be upset. Fire us, please.
Okay, so I'm an aspiring actress, singer, model, dancer, basically everything in the arts.
Keyword,
aspiring.
See,
And you know
we
what?
didn't talk about it. I mean,
I respect you for saying aspiring. Now, there's 2 different ideologies.
Yeah, I don't like to bullshit.
Yeah, the first one is, I think, therefore I am, right? So basically, you could put out to the universe what you want yourself to be. And a lot of people say they own it. And they say, as a motivating factor, I am an actress. Other people come in here and very few people come in here actually and say, I'm an aspiring.
They always say, I am this.
Yeah.
And they're so far removed. Like, really? Because you work at Walmart. And
I think Lebanese is better, right, Ma? The thing is, there is something very humble about saying aspiring. At the same time, I'm 50-50 on it because I do think I think words have a lot of weight, a lot of power. You should put out to the universe what you want to be.
I mean,
Sure.
I put it out to the universe. I have a lot of confidence, but I don't like to bullshit and be like, oh yeah, I'm this, I'm that, I don't know.
Well, I would also like to say, when it comes to confidence, George, you do realize that when Rene Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am," he didn't mean positive affirmation of words. You do know that, right?
Yeah, that was kind of like I realized it as I was saying it, but I did kind of bend it. I bended it nicely.
You used it in a great way, but that's not actually the point. The point he was making is that you exist and you're real because you think, and therefore was an actual equation for God.
But what if
you did was equate it to godliness, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Equated to godliness. A lot of people, we all watched the Kanye West video where he said, who does he think he is? I told you, I am a God. That's who I think I am. And a lot of people got offended. But, the more I read, there are a lot of spiritualists who do believe that they are God in the flesh.
Well, we're definitely going to talk about the aspiring part of your work. But before we get there, did you watch the Golden Globes?
I didn't. I couldn't watch it.
Did you watch it?
Home.
I was watching it, but what did I actually watch? I watched Oprah's speech, brother. That's what I actually watched and memorized.
Okay, well, first of all, it wasn't the I Have a Dream speech. It was a good speech. It was cool, but people are making it sound like it's the big deal. Did you see Oprah's speech?
I went on YouTube. I saw the part that Natalie Portman said, here are the all-male director nominees. I saw Oprah's speech. I just went and I saw the highlights.
Yeah, if you were a straight white male at the Golden Globes, you must have felt like shit. Like honestly.
I felt that was so awkward when she said that. Everyone was like, people didn't know how to react. They're like,
I mean, it was brilliant. It was brilliant, but
Yeah.
it was all males. And you know what? Everyone made a big deal of how there was no women. You know what? There also wasn't any Hispanics or blacks or anyone else. And everyone was taking up for women. And as a minority, I was like, wait, what about everyone else that also isn't getting their just dues? But it also has been extremely tough for women.
I think this whole thing about women is blowing up because of everything that happened since Harvey Weinstein. That's why that's the focus right now. The Time's Up motto that's going around. I think that's why the focus is generally on the female.
Yeah, but there is this mantra, like, as a guy, I feel like sometimes it's guilty until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Like, you're guilty, and then we're going to find out how you're guilty. And then I realized they even did that to Oprah, because waking up in the morning, Oprah gave this beautiful speech. Now, do I think it was the best speech ever given? No, I don't. I don't care what anyone says. But she delivered it very flawlessly, which I watched. I was like, wow, she's not reading it. She memorized it. It seems so sincere and natural. But secondly, of course, because she's Oprah. But secondly, it was a beautiful message. The message is it should be equal pay. It should be equal opportunity. Everyone has a story to tell, blah. In the morning, I wake up to a bunch of memes of Oprah. Oprah's a hypocrite, pictures with her and Harvey Weinstein. They made it seem like Oprah was like raping girls with Harvey Weinstein and then was selling Bill Cosby roofies. Like, what is wrong with people?
It's all,
you guys are criticizing Oprah? Like, if you're going to make fun of Oprah, what's going to happen with us, bro?
Here, her message, what I got out of this speech, and you're right, Tarana, it's sad to see someone misconstrue or misrepresent a speech that was so empowering, that was so enlightened, that was so positive, and for someone to try and take the time to manipulate it just because she took a photo with someone. It's not like when we take photos with people or have relationships with people, we don't know exactly what's going on in their lives all the time. I know for a fact if Oprah knew exactly the details, she wouldn't have aligned herself with him. Now, a bigger thing that I got out of the speech was this, okay? When she said it's basically time for a new wave, okay? And the new wave coming now, the women of today are going to do it. Because everyone spoke up, everyone is starting to speak up, the hope is, and I believe that this is achievable, okay, that the women, that our daughters, our future daughters, will not grow up in the same harassing climate that the women of today grew up in. What is Tehran doing?
I'm keeping the camera on
No, see, that's what you think you're doing, but now you're just showing the mic and not my face. See, when I do this, I'm showing the mic.
Like,
you want to hear? Okay,
yeah,
cool. They're going to hear this. And here's what needs to happen, what has to happen. I'm glad Oprah basically said it as a statement. Our daughters, okay, who are going to come in the next generation, should not, by any means, by any standard, ever have to deal with sexual harassment in the workplace, and it happens everywhere. I like the fact that Oprah did mention that it happens in Hollywood a lot, and that's why we're seeing it in the mainstream. But it is happening everywhere, and I do believe. And she made the statement: there will be a world. There's a lot of people saying that it's going to take a while for this change to happen. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say that this change is completely achievable and should happen in the next generation. These instances should not happen again. And you know what? It's also our job as men, not just the women speaking up. If you're a man out there and you're listening and you're in a position of power and you know your male counterpart is doing this type of action, it is your duty as a man to go up to that person and say, stop it.
Amen.
And say, stop it. And that's what it's also going to take. The women can't do it alone, y'all. We got to have their backs. We got your backs. And I, for one, I don't work with anyone with a reputation like that.
Yeah.
I do production sets all the time.
Yeah.
If I know anyone is even remotely about that life, I'm not for it. I'm not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
Well,
How do you
I
feel?
wish there were more people. I wish there were more people that felt like you.
As a woman, as the woman on the panel, how did it make you feel?
I mean, this whole situation, like I understand what you're saying, like the next generation, but I think it's just going to take so much time because men in power, this has been going on for forever, and especially in the Hollywood industry. And now finally everyone's, speaking out. Now finally they're going to try and enforce change. But I think it's going to take a long, long time.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, there's always going to be that one producer, that one director, that one guy in power that's going to use his power, and there's always going to be that. And there's always going to be that girl or even boy, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be that person that is trying to make it. And they're gonna have to choose in that situation. Should I or shouldn't I?
My thing is, like, I appreciate and understand everything that's going on, and I'm actually very aware of it. I think who people aren't focusing on right now, that people aren't paying attention to, are talentless hoes. Because listen, there's a bunch of talentless hoes in Hollywood that were one blowjob away from getting their dream role, and now they ruined it for everyone. Like, yo, do you understand? There's a girl who gave Harvey Weinstein a blowjob the day before and was like, bitch, I didn't get my audition. Couldn't we have waited 2 weeks? Like, that's how because I'd have sucked Harvey's dick. Like, I'm not proud of it. It would have been my choice. But I would have, I mean, bro, you say it, you looking at me like that, like, look, I'm going into auditions, dropping my script on the floor, bending over. Nothing? I get nothing?
You know what? I don't feel sorry for those girls because, I mean, they're making it hard for the rest of us that don't want to go down to that level. Like, in this industry right now, that's my biggest fear. I'm going to be in a situation where they're going to be like, yeah, they want to take advantage. And I can't go down, I can't go down to that level, so I don't care if those girls, they don't get anywhere.
What? Here's my question. What about the girls on Instagram or in life that are like that and they are making it hard for the rest of everyone? How about those girls? Do we blame them as well, or do we relinquish any responsibility from them and only blame all the men in power?
The girls on Instagram,
when we say
what do you
men
mean?
in power,
What are they doing?
we really kind of mean white men in power. But these girls who are putting it out there, they're like using their bodies to get ahead. So now...
But using your body, that can mean
ahead.
different things. I mean, you can post sexy pictures as a model. You're gonna have sexy pictures. You're even gonna maybe do nude, photographs. That's artistic. It's not that you're being a hoe.
Good point. Let me back up my boy because I know Tehran's a great dude. Let me clarify what he's saying. Okay, what I think you're saying, Tehran, or what I want you to be saying is
what I hope you're saying.
What I hope you're saying. What he's alluding to is that not just women who are being provocative or being sexual, women who are actually taking advantage of being able to do sexual favors for privilege. And I think by no means does Tehran or will he ever agree with something uninvited, which was happening, which should completely be
uninvited.
destroyed.
Listen,
yeah,
there's a
I just want to differentiate here.
There's a fine line between things like sexual harassment and flirting.
Right.
There's a fine line between rape and something like, there's a fine line between rape or any of that stuff and like a form of like bartering, right? So where do we place the responsibility? Now, I don't think any of it should happen. I think everyone should be judged equally based on their merit and talent. Mm-hmm. But am I going to be silly and think that nepotism doesn't play a part? Clearly it does. Do I think that a girl in a bikini gets way more likes on a photograph than I do? Yeah, I do. I mean, girls in bikinis think they're motivational speakers all the time. When it rains, everyone gets wet. Yeah, bitch. Just be in a bikini, ho.
I mean, we're looking
like all those guys that you think are supporting you are just perverts who like your body.
Here's the difference. In my opinion, the difference is, she's using obviously, if she's beautiful, if she's got a great body, she's using that in order to get what she has to say out. You know what I mean? I think that's different. When you say like the hoes that are willing to like, I don't know, give a blowjob to, you know, get somewhere, I think that's really different from a girl that is like, okay, I'm pretty, I've got a good body, I'm gonna use that in order to get somewhere because I also have talent. So I think that's acceptable. I don't know, maybe I'm being,
No,
you know what I mean?
think it's true. Men and women alike, often we do use sexuality for attention.
Right, especially females. Like
yeah.
as a female, you know, if you can get more attention, if you can get more likes, more followers, if you can get the attention of the industry, and the thing is you have the talent, but obviously if you use, you know, if you use your looks, because let's be honest, in this industry, it's not just about talent, you know, it's about the way you look.
Right.
So
here's my golden rule when dealing with other people, right? The only time something is truly wrong in an interaction with two people is when one party is unwilling to do something.
Right.
When I see women online, a lot of them who are my friends who actually own their sexuality and they're doing it as a form of their own expression, not feeling forced to do it.
Right.
I don't have an issue with that, and I actually respect them. And to kind of rewind back to causation, because I think that's something that Tehran was seeking or asking us about. Causation actually started when there was a disproportionate amount of power in both society and industries of men against women. Men had the power, and there was a culture created and cultivated by men. You know, we got to take ownership of this. The men in power were basically taking advantage of their positions and having people do favors for them. Right. And that's where this crappy culture started. It needs to go out the window, and we need a culture that is merit-based, that if someone has the talent or has the ambition or has the skills, they're the person to get the role.
And as you said, not be in a forced situation.
In a forced situation.
The thing is, yeah, if you want to flirt, if you want to be charming, you know, that's fine. That's your choice. You know, if you think you need to be charming, flirt to get to where you want to get, as long as, you know, it's not harmful to you, then that's fine. But if you're in a situation where you feel like the person is going to force you to do something or to be a certain way, I mean, that's not acceptable.
And that's where it needs to stop. And we hear stories about men who are basically masturbating themselves in front of women, putting them in like very uncomfortable positions.
But one of the things that really bothers me is that this is all blowing up now. And suddenly Angelina Jolie and Gwyneth Paltrow came out and they said, yeah, Harvey, I don't know exactly what he did, but it was sexual harassment. And it's like, this happened to them, 20 years ago?
Yeah, and
what bothers me is that why didn't they come out? Like, they could have saved so many girls.
I'll never blame a victim for treating or acting the way that they acted. I don't know why. I've never been in that position. I don't know if I was in that situation, how long it would take me to confront it and come and speak about it. I do know this, that I don't blame victims. Well, I don't blame all victims.
No, they're not to blame.
I do blame. Okay, look, I don't blame victims, but if you date R. Kelly now, bitch, it's your fault.
No,
let me just throw that out
hold on,
you knew he was peeing on bitches.
I don't think victims are to blame.
Yeah.
Like, let me just clarify that. I don't blame the victims.
Exactly.
I wonder why all of these women in the industry, why now everyone came forward? Why didn't, like, a lot of them, they could have come forward so long ago. There have been so many females and males that have gone through the sexual harassment.
Who would they tell? At that time, there was no one who would listen.
But here's the point that I wanted to make. A lot of women, I read about this, a lot of women that came forward back then, they got a huge money settlement. And this is like, 20 years ago? And so it kept their mouth shut. And now they came forward. I wonder why.
Money, yeah.
The money, like, did they run out of the money?
Did
they use the money? And now they're like, okay, now that I used up all the money, I'm going to be like, yeah, this happened to me.
So some people accepted the hush money. And I think one of the reasons why in this particular situation, just knowing the industry, is that, let's say you're an actress, your job is acting, right? Well, what if someone told you, I will blacklist you, you'll never be on my production again?
That's exactly what I thought.
And what I can anticipate happened is that they were basically
threatened
they
them,
were blackballed. Yeah.
You'll never work here again if you open your mouth, if you say something. And then the thing is, they're not famous at that. Like 20 years ago, I mean, no, but Gwyneth, she still had famous parents. Angelina, she had, the famous dad. So I guess for them, it's a different situation. But most of the females that were sexually harassed, basically, yeah, they weren't famous. They didn't have anything. So they're like, oh, wow. So if I'm blacklisted, I can't do anything.
And you know what? It's sad, and it's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's sad that this responsibility falls on the victim. Like, you were victimized. Now you're responsible to speak up to prevent it from happening. Had the people in Harvey's circle, again, I'm sure there were men, his guy friends.
They all knew probably. I think a lot of people knew.
Well, Scott Rosenberg wrote an amazing article how he was like, I knew. And how do I know that you guys also knew? Because I knew you knew, and I was there, and I did so and so, and I didn't stop it. Yeah, I didn't know how bad it was, but I knew it existed to some extent.
And what was his reason for not speaking
Well, because
up?
he was like, none of us spoke up because Harvey Weinstein showed us all a good time and made us all famous and rich, and so we didn't speak up. The way this all started was actually just, the conversation was a picture of Harvey Weinstein and Oprah. We went off on this tangent.
Yeah.
But the tangent goes back to our subject.
Yeah, but it goes back to the concept of, like, when Oprah speaks about this, you often take a picture with people. We don't know what Oprah knew. We're always assuming that everyone is wrong. We don't know what Oprah knew. There's a lot of people who may not have known. I know for a fact that a lot of females who have male friends, they don't know what their male friends are actually up to. They don't know what they do in their private life. We don't know what we do in each other's private life.
You can't hold her accountable. And let me just say this.
Or discredit her. Because Oprah's clearly been an advocate for woman equality and power her entire career.
But honestly, this whole thing, the memes, the stuff that the shit that they're saying about Oprah, the thing is, in this industry, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, there's always going to be the haters. There's always going to be the people that are just going to make up shit to say, oh, but this, oh, but that. Even if you're Oprah, even if you're whoever, there's always going to be.
If you're talking shit about Oprah.
Yeah, I mean, people are out to get you.
If they're going after Oprah, I mean, come on. There's always going to be those people that are going to say, some bullshit,
But I have a theory. After watching that speech, not only did Oprah appear as this, like, superb individual, super entrepreneur, entertainer, she, to me, came across as a political leader in that speech. And I believe that if Oprah ran for president with Michelle Obama as her vice president, even the opposing parties couldn't argue with that, and everyone would just vote for Oprah and Michelle.
You know what? I believe that.
Right? I believe it too. Yeah,
and that's exactly what's wrong and how President Trump got elected. Because the fact that both of you believe that everyone would vote for them when most people would not. Because America is not just New York City. It's not just LA. It is Alabama. It is Iowa. It is Minnesota. It is Idaho. It is
but here's the thing. I don't understand how, for me, it was shocking too. Because I'm like, how did a country that voted for Obama, how did that suddenly shift into a country that voted for Trump?
Because there was a backlash. And it's also, the concept is, the number one criticism of President Trump is that President Trump did not have any political knowledge before becoming president. Well, what political knowledge and resume does Oprah have? Don't just look at it when it's on your side. So the people who were saying things like, Trump's not my president, well, which Republican candidate did you feel comfortable with? If the answer is none, then just say, hey, I hate Republicans. Don't act like you care about the system.
You don't hate Republicans.
We have a system.
It's like, so it's not the Republicans that one would hate. It's their policies. It's the way they handle things.
But people hate Republicans. What are their policies? Do you actually know much about Republican policies, or just Republican candidates who speak up about these policies?
But that's the thing. Because of the way they speak, because of their beliefs, we hate on it.
Sure.
We don't hate the person. We hate their beliefs.
I have a question for both of you. What is the difference between Republicans and Democrats?
Tax brackets, bro.
Wrong.
No, but honestly, it's what a lot of people would call it is conservatism.
Wrong. So that's not the difference between Republicans and Democrats.
I'm getting to it. Social conservatism, tax brackets, and the biggest one is the Constitution.
Wrong.
So I was going to say,
all three of those things are incorrect. So the concept between the difference between a Republican philosophy and the Democratic philosophy is Republicans feel small government, bigger states, and individual rights. And Democrats feel bigger government, bigger federal government, and less state and individual individualism, meaning that they feel like the state should be, the government, the federal government should be responsible more for the welfare overall, but at the same time, the individual should have less culpability in that. And Republicans feel like it should be really based on the individual, which means that it plays out in policies. That means we collect less taxes because we also give less services. That's how Republicans feel. And Democrats say we collect more taxes, but in exchange, we give out more services as a federal government. That's really their major political difference. So
well, Trump would disagree with you with his new tax cut.
How so?
But I think it
because he's going to do more tax cuts.
Okay, so with the tax cuts that everyone's arguing about, the concept is most people haven't actually read these tax cuts, and I'm not agreeing with them. I'm just saying know the facts. So the fact about President Trump's tax cuts comes down to they eliminate tax cuts because it goes down to a trickle-down policy where we give rich people more money back and they use it, and then it goes back to all of us. Now, never mind the fact that that has actually never worked. Trickle-down has never worked. It's a viable tax policy component.
So you're saying that the Reaganomics didn't work?
I'm saying that Reaganomics did not work. But did it exist? No one faults President Reagan for doing the same things. And once again, I'm not an advocate of President Trump. It's a principle. The principle is if you feel that President Trump shouldn't be president because he had no political experience, you should feel that about anyone who has no presidential or political experience.
I don't feel that. And honestly, as people know, a president is viewed almost as a figurehead and not the actual decision maker, even though you have your executive powers. And I totally agree with someone.
But you're not just a figurehead. You do have executive powers.
So
and
you do.
Doesn't he have a really big button?
He has his button.
Really big button.
He does. Actually,
Isn't his bigger?
So what happens is
Isn't his the biggest?
When he gets sworn in, right? And I was watching a documentary on this. Right behind them, a suitcase, the moment he gets sworn in, gets transferred behind him. And in that suitcase is a nuclear codes.
Yes.
So if he wants beef, yeah, dog.
Which, by the way, until like very recently, the codes for nuclear weapons was 0000.
Stop.
That is not my imagination. That is a true statement because
was it because
during the Cold War
they wanted Trump not to forget the numbers?
It was during the Cold War. They wanted to be able to easily access the codes and not have to remember them. So it was for a very long time. The code was just 00000.
Did they change it and make it more complicated so he can't just put in the zeros?
They made it more complicated way before President Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not way before, but only like two presidents before.
But the thing is, I personally, I don't want someone with the political know-hows and that. I want someone who has integrity. That's really what I want for my leader.
I think the Constitution, what you said, I think that's true. I think that especially the extreme Republican ideas, especially what Trump's doing, it's making America into something that it's not. America's about democracy. It's about, it's international. It's about everyone from all over the world being able to be in this country. You know, that's what it's about. But I feel like Trump and his ideas, I mean, they're making it about something that's not America. Even when he was running, you know, ban the Muslims, you know, build the wall. I don't know, all this stuff. Everything he was saying was focusing on white America, white, which is not America.
It depends on which American you talk to.
Which America? See, that's the thing. It's interesting. President Trump is actually really good for America. It depends on which America you live in, and that's the concept.
If you're the rich white person in America, I guess it works for you.
America's been really good. And you know, with all this women talk, what I think is going to happen is that the next president is going to be an Elizabeth Warren, is going to be a female president, and she's going to be the president, and hopefully she'll serve 2 terms. And then unfortunately, right after that, they're gonna nominate Harvey Weinstein, and he's going to win because that's what white America does. Because if you notice, right after President Obama, they were like, "Fuck you, niggers," and they went and just went the opposite direction all the way. And that really happened. Like, look,
but that happens each term, right? And before Obama, it was Bush again, like something way, you know, you know what I mean? It's like it keeps going up and down. And then
who
Clinton.
Loves President Trump the most? President Bush, because he's like, remember me? Like he's looking at like he was amazing.
Bush. When I see him, I get a warm feeling now.
So he's the nicest guy.
He used to be like the bad guy.
He's the nicest guy.
When I see him, I smile. I'm like, you're a friendly guy,
well,
Mr. Bush.
Because of the situation we're in now, we're like, you know what, Bush wasn't that bad.
And that's how it works in all politics. And actually, we're seeing that right now. In Iran, we have a bunch of Iranian protests going on, and it's been going on across the country. You just came back from Iran. You were there for a long time.
Yeah, I was there for a couple
I don't know if you saw it when you were there.
No. I came back 2 months ago, and when I came here, nothing was going on. So this all happened recently.
Yeah, but it's just people are tired. You know what? Across the world, people are tired of being oppressed. And I don't know how it's going to play out because, unfortunately, the people who are being oppressed, they only know what the problems are. We don't know what the solutions are. And it's going to be like, are we going to get a false idol that just gives us more false information?
The solution, I don't know if you'd call it
It's
a solution. But
I don't even know what Bitcoin is.
now, the people who are, kind of educate me here, both of you, you know a lot more about Iran than I would. The people who are protesting now, would you say that they would be privy to support the concept of the Shah or the return of a Shah?
No. No, because the
So
Shah's
the
dead.
thing about Iran,
concept.
it's just
No. 'Cause
it's
who would you
very
make it?
complicated because the revolution happened 30 some years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the people back then that went against the Shah, they're all my dad's age, and they're all regretful.
Wow. The same people.
Those people,
And
when I'm in Iran and I'm speaking to these, most of them are my dad's age,
They're like 38.
family, friends.
I mean, it was 38 years ago.
And
so
they
at
supported-
this age, they're like 50s,
Right.
and they're 58.
And they supported the
and
current regime?
They
The current regime?
went against
Yeah,
the
of
Shah.
course.
They went against the Shah. Because they thought if they go against the Shah, they're going to get something better. They're going to get democracy.
Oh, and then.
But now they're all regretful, and they're like, if only we had known.
I'm gonna give a quick Iranian history lesson.
You already gave us an NSL lesson,
Well, let me
Professor
give
Tehran.
another one about Iran.
All right.
Iran did have a democracy, and they elected a guy, and his name was Mossadegh, and he wanted to nationalize the oil fields and would have created an amazing, possibly democratic situation in Iran. What happened was that went against Western policy, England, specifically the UK and America. So the UK and America, with CIA help and MI6, went in, removed him, had him arrested, and then later he died and put in the Shah.
Okay.
The Shah was there, and then when the Shah decided he was going to go against America and the UK, they
didn't like that.
They didn't like that
Whoa.
either, and they helped
Hold on. I
Khomeini.
missed that detail in history.
Exactly.
The
That's another
Shah
thing.
himself
This
went
isn't-
against the U.S.?
Well, for
So
a long
the thing
time
was,
he didn't.
the Shah was sort of U.S.'s puppet, right?
For a long
I thought
time,
the U.S. created him almost, had his back.
Well, no, they didn't
that's the
create him.
thing.
You established his father was the Shah, and then he was deposed, and then a democracy came to be, and they didn't like the democracy.
didn't like that
because they
Iran
didn't like
was
the
getting too
choice.
powerful.
Yeah, and so
They
they,
didn't want
came
that.
in and got the Shah back in, and then the Shah came in, and the Shah was also saying that, for example, why are we doing all these things? It's not in Iran's best interest. And the Shah, and so what they did was they helped Khomeini and helped him rise to power, and he came in, and now we're here.
Oh my gosh.
And the thing is, the people, they thought Khomeini, because the thing that Khomeini was saying during the time that he was running.
Khomeini's the homeboy with the beard?
The beard,
thicker
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he's the
the
one that came. He's the one that
Iranian Rick
replaced
Ross
the
with the
Shah.
turban.
The thing is, when he was running, he was giving speeches that was
Eloquent
all
speeches.
about eloquent, beautiful speeches.
People and equalness
democracy, equalness. But then once he was in power, little by little, none of that happened. Little by little, they started reinforcing all of these new laws.
And it had to do with the fact that America and Russia were in this Cold War, a war that didn't actually exist except on paper. And the Shah was doing business because Russia has big pipelines, was doing business with Russia. America did not like that. It's the same reason they established a person who later becomes known as Osama bin Laden, the #1 terrorist. They're the ones who went in and traded him because they were fighting the Russians. They put into power Saddam Hussein in order to fight Iran. I mean, this whole area of turmoil, I don't want to say it's America's fault, but nigga, it's white people's fault. Like white people, like Africa, they just took a pencil and cut it up and was like, you know what? Hello, these people, let's put them in one country. They hate each other. Like these people hate each other. That's why Africa's countries are so perfectly perfect lines. No country's a perfect line. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's craziness, and we don't talk about that.
Just
No,
a
but
quick
it's true.
cool
The
fact.
interference.
A quick cool fact about the Shah. Okay, I'm a car guy. I love cars. The Mercedes G-Wagon was
Yes.
invented for the Shah.
For the Shah, yes.
That's pretty dope.
And I mean,
that
a
was
lot
the
of
best.
these things.
That was
And
his
the
best
thing-
work, in my opinion.
And the thing is, the government is so strong now. I mean, there was that whole green revolution a few years ago during
2009?
Yeah, during the Mousavi. And
Okay,
you know,
yeah. What happened with that?
everyone. So there
They died
was a
out?
small revolution, yeah, and everyone went out because they were going.
They
after
need to
something,
holler at
but
the Egyptians.
It
No,
didn't.
They might have some
no.
advice.
It didn't work. Everyone either got killed or imprisoned. It didn't work.
It's
And
different.
now that this is happening, I'm worried because I feel like now again people are going out there. People are fighting. But I mean, is it going to get?
What's
But
gonna
I'm
happen?
What's
very
gonna
in
happen?
tune with the universe. I have this like third eye and a sixth sense. And I feel the impulses of this revolution like much stronger than the one in 09. I think this one's like going to keep going.
Really?
I think the people have had enough and they're going to keep
But
going
what
with this.
bothers me is that did you guys see Trump? He was like, "Yeah, I'm all for the Iranian people that are going out there," and it's like you don't even care. He's like,
He's
you know
like
what I mean?
almost.
For your own interest.
It's for his own interest.
Actually, I
he
put a
doesn't
meme-
care
I
about the
put a meme
Persian
where
people.
He tweets something like, the government should listen to their people. People have the right to speak up. And I have a picture of Colin Kaepernick kneeling and looking up like, nigga,
huh?
what?
What?
Like, nigga,
What?
didn't you just ruin my life because I spoke up?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What's scary about what he said is that now the people are going to get riled up, but without the backing. It's like really right now the only people in the revolution, their only backing is themselves.
Yeah.
You've had revolutions in the past where they were getting funding from other countries and stuff. These people are really on their own and they're very brave for what they're doing.
And that's why I'm afraid that it's not going to get anywhere.
So we'll
You know,
see.
they're
We'll see
gonna
what
be-
happens with these but it is people across the board, whether it's women, whether it's people of color, everyone's tired. Even straight white males who had nothing to do with what's
But
going
have
on
you
are tired.
noticed-
Everyone's tired.
Have you noticed the interesting thing about this time, these protests that are happening in Iran, is that they're actually focusing on the women protesters. Have you guys noticed that?
The last time I felt like I remember
But
in
have
2009.
you seen the pictures of the
but-
girl that's like, like this in the
Yeah, but
middle?
I'm saying
and
in
she's like-
2009, it was the same thing. And that's what caught the attention is because people were like, what? First of all, there's women that are doing this. And second of all, why are they beautiful? I thought Iranians are ugly. I'm like, nigga, are you
What?
crazy? Iranians are so good looking.
Yo, I know like the net.
And Iranian women are very strong-minded, strong-willed women. I don't
listen,
know.
I
That's true.
understand a lot more about my past relationships with Persian women after watching these revolutions. I
Persian women are
understand
strong.
the strength,
It's
yo,
true.
the strength.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's strong. And then when it comes to like strength, you're a Persian woman. You're in a business that's very difficult to be in. You want to be an actress, a singer, an entertainer,
Yes.
but you're starting out.
Right.
What are the trials and tribulations you're going through? And I'm going to explain this because I want to know what you think. And then I want to hear from George, who also goes through a lot of this, even more so than I do. It's easier when you're a comedian simply because I get more placement and seen because of what I do. But as someone who's doing acting, trying to create, who's created like works, I think George has a special knowledge on this stuff. So, because I've been talking to Farnaz Michelle, and
Michelle, I like-
she
I
seems
like
to
Michelle.
be under the impression, and I haven't spoken to George about this, so has been under the impression that I need to introduce her to maybe some casting directors, and then she'll just be able to make money off this. And
I mean, no, the thing is in this business, you have to get the attention of the right people. You have to make the right connections. I mean, there are so many, I'm sure, I don't know, but I'm sure there are so many talented people that they work hard for so long, but they don't get to the fame. They don't get to the big money. They don't get to the place where they're like really successful. And that's because it's all about connections, who you meet. I mean, some people, they get their big breaks, but some people, they never do. Like, you could work 10 years and get a big break after 10 years. I mean, that's still good. But you could work for 10 years and never get your big break.
10 years is, how long would you say it takes?
So before we get into this real quick, right? Tehran, there's a saying, we spoke a lot about Iran. Now there's a saying in Farsi about a caterpillar that Tehran once told me. Hearing what you said,
It's not a saying, it's like a parable. It's a story.
I want you to say the parable.
Have I ever the story of the paravonet? So paravonet butterfly, the concept is there's a man walking in the woods, in the forest. He's a kind man, and he's thinking about the universe, right? And he's walking in the forest and he's thinking about the universe. And as he does so, he sees that a flock of a school of butterflies are breaking from their cocoons and flying in front of his eyes. It's beautiful. You've seen butterflies and they're colorful and these big, beautiful butterflies, they break their cocoons and they're flying and he's just in awe. And as he's looking, he sees that there's this one cocoon that the butterfly is struggling struggling to break out. And he sees that his brothers and sisters are flying away. So he's worried. So he's a kind man. He gently lifts up the cocoon and he rocks the cocoon back and forth in his fingers very gently, very softly. And he breaks the cocoon for that butterfly so that the butterfly can join its brothers and sisters. But what the kind man did not know that is in his kindness, breaking the cocoon, he actually hurt the butterfly because the universe had created the cocoon so that the butterfly, when it broke it with the strength of its own wings, only then would it be able to fly. Right. And now because the man had done it,
weak.
It would never be able to fly. And so getting an opportunity too soon actually becomes your demise. You have to earn it. And when you don't deserve it. And when you don't deserve it, you will never keep it. We see this time and time. It's easiest to see it when it comes to musical artists because we hear about them. They're the one-hit wonders. It's the guy who Let the Dogs Out, who you've never heard of again. The Gangnam Style. It's the guy that Trinidad James, look at me, just don't believe, just watch. It's that guy because you didn't earn it. You got in something quick and you came up with a hit quicker. Panda designer, like what happened to you? It's not that there was no need for you because you didn't earn it. You didn't know how to do it again. But when you earn something, when you're a basketball and prodigy and you work and it's not like you are born and you're a champion. You work, you Steph Curry your way, and now you stay champion. Why? Because you earned it. You went to practice. You practiced every day and you got there and you knew the value of it. And more importantly, you attained a skill.
And
I agree with what you're saying to a certain extent. It does matter whether you really have to earn something to be able to keep it, to appreciate it. Yeah, if you get something on the, first day, maybe you won't appreciate it and keep it. But I also think that it depends on who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. It depends on how you were brought up, your life experiences. I think there's just a lot more factors that go into that. It's not just about, if you get it too quickly or if you don't get it too quickly. Each person is different from the other. There could be someone that they have had a lot of struggles in their life, and they've actually, been through a lot, and then they go after their dreams, and then they may get like a big break, and then that means a lot to them. So they will keep it. They will go after it.
They don't have the skill set. They've never earned the skill set.
But the thing is, when you really want something, you make yourself get the skills. You kill yourself trying, to keep it. It doesn't matter.
The number one thing is practice makes perfect. It doesn't matter how much you want something. It's how much you go after it.
But that's what you'll do. If you get it, you'll still go after it.
Time is still a factor. So what I'm saying is a guy who's doing something there's a golden hour. There's a golden hour. It's amount of time. How much time is that, George?
10 years.
10,000 hours. That's the concept. If you do anything for 10,000 hours, you became a professional at it. You become a pro at it. If you do it for 3,000, it's like the movies. Only in movies does Harry Potter beat Voldemort. Only in movies does Luke Skywalker beat Darth Vader. Darth Vader's been doing something for 40 years. Luke Skywalker does it for a week and he's better than him. That's impossible. It's impossible and it's improbable. And it's not like, what if this guy's naturally gifted? Naturally gifted is a cute thing we make up to make ourselves feel better for not being able to do something that someone else does. We literally have, now there is within reason, someone could be tall, someone could be this, but you have within you the ability to be the greatest you that you can be. And if you haven't practiced the skill, you won't be good at it. I remember when I first started comedy and I thought, I'm so good. And now I look back and I'm like, man, I was not good.
And
I'm good now.
I've
even in 10 years, I'll look back and be like, I won't. And that's what Matthew McConaughey meant in his speech.
But
my hero is me in 5 years.
You've been doing what you love on the way to getting better. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you have to keep doing it.
But you have to keep doing it.
I'm not Jay Leno now. I need to earn. I have another 10,000.
I want to share. Tehran, thank you for gracefully sharing the hashtag Persian parable with us today. I wanted to take the liberty to share a personal experience. This story has not been told before. I'm going to tell it for the first time on the show. Matter of fact, the only person who knows of this story is the man right across from you in this room, Tehran. I had just come out to Hollywood. I achieved quick fame through this show, Shaws of Sunset. They were calling me the Persian Drake on that show. And And there was an episode. It was literally like my 3rd week in Los Angeles altogether. And I was already in this national spotlight. And I hadn't really I'd been on TV on local networks doing music. I used to be a musician, but as an actor, as a person in front of camera, that was all new to me. So it's like I got lucky with this first strike. Then the network approached me. They said, you know what, George, we're going to do a special episode featuring just you and the lady you're dating together. So they filmed a date for us. The production cost was like $100,000. They shut down on a Friday night one of the most expensive restaurants on Sunset Boulevard, prime real estate in Hollywood. And here I was walking onto this set. Now, at the time, I wasn't making a lot of money. As a matter of fact, I was waiting on my paycheck that I received last second moments before I went on, which was a fraction of what I was owed. So I cashed the paycheck knowing, holy crap, I'm going to this Italian restaurant. I'm going to have to pay the bill. I don't know how TV works. So I'm stressing out. I'm putting on my wardrobe as fast as I can, show up to the set. And here it was, a whole camera crew designated there just for me. I look around, the whole restaurant was filled with extras who were like assigned actors who like looked like they were more experienced than me in this room on the date. Cameras turned on. And it was like I was a deer in headlights. I started sweating profusely. As a matter of fact, I couldn't even get a word out. I was so excited on my head. Oh, I'm going to film. I'm the main person on this TV show that I didn't realize is that necessary time, that Hollywood cocoon, I hadn't gone through the incubator first. I just got there too fast. Now, this is now 6 years later in Hollywood. What ended up unfortunately happening, and I was like literally about to cry, I called Tehran after. He had to meet up with me. He gave me a hug. He won't admit it on the show. He gave me a hug.
That never happened.
And comforted me. Had this moment happened now, 6 years later in Hollywood, I would have been a star on that show. I would have killed it. But I just simply hadn't gone through the process. It happened too soon. And I know what you're saying. There is a person, I respect your ambition, because not too many people this earlier in their career have the level of ambition that you have, that they want it so bad, they'll take on the task. But I can promise you one thing, now filming 3 different shows, is that you need to develop a skill set. A lot of newcomers to the industry underestimate the value, and this is in life too, the value of education, not only in our industry, everywhere. Education is one of the strongest, most prized vehicles. I mean, you're from Iran. You meet any Persian and they're like, oh, I have this degree. My daughter's a doctor. My son's a lawyer. My daughter's a lawyer. My son's a doctor. Education is so emphasized, and you know what? It should be emphasized. It's emphasized for a purpose. And I do believe that if you right now go through your years of education and training and then are presented with the opportunity, remember, in this universe, doors only open like one time for us sometimes. Sometimes a door will really only open once, and I would rather someone not walk through it, wait till they're ready and knock on it again, than try and walk through it and have that door slam in their face eternally.
Because it'll never open again. But it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and I do not envy you the path that you're going through. But New Year's resolution 2018, you're going for it. Where can people find you?
Well, I have a public Instagram page. It's called Farnaz Michelle, FARNAZMICHELLE.
Well, that's how it goes. And you also sing and do it.
I sing, I act, I dance, I model.
Correction, y'all. That was Farnaz Michelle.
Farnaz Michelle.
Yeah, starting out.
Bonjour.
But, starting out, that's how it is. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It was such a good conversation. We're up. Like, time's up. That's the first show.
Yeah, we talk too much.
Yeah, what a great conversation to start the year. I think we all have some good insight. I've learned a lot of historical lessons.
I've learned nothing. I've never learned anything on the show. If I was on the show, you people wouldn't know anything. And if you don't know who I am Tehran, literally across the board. And I am Tehran on the social atmosphere. Find me, tell your friends to tell their friends. And of course,
GK Supreme, that stands for Good Karma Supreme. Find me at Mr. George Corey Tehran. Please spell my last name.
That's KHOURI.
Thank you very
to Martin.
much.
And of course, we are
Imperfect Gentlemen.
Remember, nobody's perfect but us. We'll see you guys next week. Let's start that 2018 off right. Share and retweet and tell your friends about the show.
And follow Farnaz Michelle.
Yay, Farnaz Michelle. Woo!